Your portfolio just hit the number, $1,100 a month. That was the first insurance quote. Before you saw a single doctor, before you filled a single prescription, just to exist in the gap between your last direct deposit and your first Medicare card. Your portfolio was ready. Your calendar wasn't. If you've been building toward an early exit, maxing the 401k, hitting savings benchmarks, running your FIRE number, this isn't a discipline problem. It's a calendar problem. A structural gap that almost nobody prices into the retirement math until the quote arrives in their inbox. And the number behind it is worse than most early retirement calculators will ever show you. There is a federal law most people have never heard of. It does not care how healthy you are. It does not care how disciplined you have been. It looks at one thing only, how old you are. And under that law, the day you turn 55 and walk away from employer coverage, the clock starts on what I call the calendar tax. 10 years of buying health insurance at age-rated prices in a market designed for people who have no other options. The math on that clock is ugly. And then it gets uglier. Let's run it. Let's start with the law itself. The Affordable Care Act sets a hard ceiling on how much insurers can charge older adults relative to younger ones in the individual market. The ceiling is 3-to-1. A 21-year-old buys a benchmark silver plan. An adult anywhere from age 55 to 64 can be charged up to 3 times that rate. Not twice, 3 times. That ratio is federal law. It does not change based on your health, your zip code, or your fitness tracker data. It is baked into every individual market plan in the country. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services publishes benchmark premium data anchored to a 40-year-old. That is the number you see in most national headlines about ACA costs. But a 59-year-old pays roughly twice that reference rate in most states. MoneyGeek pulled the unsubsidized silver plan costs for a 59-year-old across all 50 states and DC for 2026. The range runs from $621 a month in Washington, D.C. to over $2,000 a month in Wyoming. 9 states come in above $20,000 a year for a single person. The national midpoint lands somewhere around $1,000 to $1,100 a month. Now hold that number. We will come back to it. There's a second layer here. From 2021 through 2025, a set of enhanced premium tax credits held those costs down significantly for most marketplace buyers. They were enacted by the American Rescue Plan, extended by the Inflation Reduction Act, and they expired on December 31st, 2025. Congress did not renew them. As a result, a specific income threshold came back into play for 2026. It is called the subsidy cliff. If your modified adjusted gross income lands above 400% of the federal poverty level, you lose all premium tax credits. The whole thing, gone. For a single person, that cliff sits at roughly $62,600. For a couple, it is around $84,600. That cliff matters enormously to early retirees. Here's why. The audience for this channel is not someone earning $30,000 a year. You are probably somewhere in the $80,000 to $200,000 range. You have a portfolio. You have savings. You might have investment income, dividend distributions, maybe a rental property, or some consulting work you plan to keep doing part-time. If that income picture pushes you above the cliff, the math changes completely. You go from paying a subsidized rate to paying the full unsubsidized premium. At age 60, that difference is not a rounding error. Let me show you what this looks like for a single person I'll call Marcus. Marcus is 60. He lives in Texas. He built his number carefully. Hit it at 59. Resigned in January. His income in retirement comes from a mix of portfolio withdrawals and some dividend income. It lands him around $65,000 a year in modified adjusted gross income. He felt good about that. It is comfortable. It is well below what he was earning at work. Then he went to the marketplace to price health insurance. The cliff for a single person in 2026 is $62,600. Marcus earns $65,000. He is over by $2,400. He gets zero premium assistance. His benchmark silver plan in his Texas county runs about $1,150 a month. That is $13,800 a year, just for the premium, before deductibles, before co-pays, before anything goes wrong. Now imagine a version of Marcus who earns $62,000 instead. He lands just under the cliff. His monthly net premium after subsidies drops to around $515. The difference in annual income between those two Marcuses is $2,400. The difference in their annual insurance bill is over $7,500. One extra consulting project, one unexpected dividend, $1 over the line. The subsidy is gone. That is not a planning failure. That is a trap built into the architecture of the law. You need to understand the mechanism because the mechanism is what you can actually manage. There is a term I use for this. I call it the cliff trigger. It is the income level at which the calendar tax switches from manageable to catastrophic. Below the cliff trigger, an early retiree with careful income planning can hold costs to $500 or $600 a month. Above it, that same retiree faces the full unsubsidized rate. For most people in the 35 to 50 range building toward early retirement, the cliff trigger is not a distant abstraction. It is a specific dollar number with a hard penalty for missing it by even a small amount. If you want more breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe. The Paycheck Lab is built for this kind of structural thinking, one video at a time. Now let's run the full 10-year bar. Imagine a graph. On the left side, a vertical bar labeled age 55 to 65. On the right side, a taller bar labeled retirement portfolio target. Most people spend years staring at the right bar. They run their FIRE number. They calculate the 25 times rule. They optimize their withdrawal rate. The left bar, the one that represents 10 years of health insurance before Medicare starts, almost never shows up in that same conversation. Let's build that left bar one layer at a time. Layer 1 is premiums. At the national average, unsubsidized coverage runs around $1,050 a month for a single person. That is roughly $12,600 a year. Over 10 years, that is $126,000. The bar just grew. But we are not done. Layer 2 is out-of-pocket costs. Deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance. Even on a silver plan, a single bad year can add $5,000 to $9,000 in exposure on top of the premium. One surgery, one ER visit, one unexpected diagnosis. Even a clean year adds $1,000 to $2,000 more in routine costs. Blend that across the decade and you're adding another $15,000 to $25,000 conservatively. The bar grew again. Layer 3 is premium growth. Health insurance premiums do not stay flat. They rise at rates well above general inflation. Assume just 3% annual growth on that baseline. The monthly premium in year 10 climbs to roughly $1,400. The cumulative total across the decade rises from $126,000 to closer to $145,000. The bar is still growing. For a single person, the full unsubsidized bridge lands somewhere between $140,000 and $175,000. That is before long-term care. For a couple, you multiply that pressure significantly. This is not a small line item buried in the retirement budget. This is a second down payment, and it is almost never in the retirement calculator. Here is the part that catches people who have done everything right. Think about Marcus again. He is paying $13,800 a year in premium. That money is leaving his portfolio every year. It is not compounding. It is not growing. It is covering a gap. Over 10 years, pulling that money out rather than keeping it deployed cost Marcus not just the premiums themselves. It costs him the growth those dollars would have generated. He is not just paying for insurance. He is paying for insurance at the most expensive moment in his financial life to do so. A down market in year 2 combined with $13,800 in annual insurance withdrawals is a very different problem. That same down market after Medicare feels manageable. Before it compounds. That is what separates the calendar tax from almost any other retirement expense. It does not just cost money. It costs compounding time. There is a second layer twist that hits people who try to be smart about this. Let's say you decide to manage your Maggie carefully. You keep income below the cliff. You qualify for subsidies. You're paying $500 a month instead of $1,100. You feel good. Then you decide to do a Roth conversion. You have a traditional IRA with a large balance. Converting now while your income is low seems like the obvious move. Your advisor agrees. You convert $50,000. That conversion counts as ordinary income in the year you do it. It goes directly into your ACA Maggie calculation. Your Maggie jumps from $60,000 to $110,000. You sail past the 400% federal poverty level cliff. You lose the entire year's premium tax credit. Depending on your state and your age, that subsidy was worth somewhere between $7,000 and $22,000. The tax benefit of the conversion was maybe $6,000. Net result, you lost money by trying to optimize. High net worth and the wrong accounts at the wrong time is the trap. The cliff trigger and the Roth conversion interact in ways that can cost far more than the raw insurance bill. The retirees who navigate this well stop treating each financial decision as a standalone move. They treat the pre-Medicare years as one integrated income management problem. You might be thinking, this is a 2026 problem. Congress will fix it. The enhanced subsidies will come back. Maybe. But the underlying 3-to-1 age rating mechanism is a law, not a policy choice. Even in the years when enhanced subsidies existed, a 60-year-old above the enhanced income limits was still paying full, unsubsidized rates. The specific dollar amount of a cliff trigger changes with legislation. The calendar tax mechanism does not. Here is the other objection I hear most often. I will just keep working part-time. I will have employer coverage. That is a legitimate strategy, and the protocol addresses it. But be honest about what part-time actually means for benefits. Most part-time arrangements do not come with employer-sponsored health insurance. The roles that do offer benefits are often not the flexible, low-stress arrangements most people picture when they imagine semi-retirement. A bridge plan that depends on finding employer coverage through a part-time role is a fragile plan for a 10-year gap. KFF, the Health Policy Research Organization, tracked what happened after the enhanced subsidies expired. Marketplace enrollment dropped by 1.2 million people. Many of them did not find an alternative. They went uninsured. For the 55 to 65 demographic, going uninsured is not a financial risk. It is a life risk. So here is the protocol. 3 steps, each targeting a different income situation. Step 1 is the income audit. Before you retire, calculate your expected Maggie in retirement, not your portfolio balance, not your total withdrawals, your taxable income as the federal tax code and the ACA define it. That means traditional IRA distributions, capital gains, dividends, rental income, and any part-time earnings. Add up to 85% of Social Security if you are receiving it. Add those up. Then compare that number to the 400% federal poverty level cliff for your household size. In 2026, that is $62,600 for a single person and $84,600 for a couple. Know your cliff number before you hand in your badge. Step 2 is account sequencing. If your income audit shows you landing near or above the cliff, the key question is which accounts you pull from and in what order. Roth IRA qualified distributions do not count toward ACA MAGI. Withdrawals of your original Roth contributions are always accessible, penalty-free. Pulling your original cost basis from taxable brokerage accounts also keeps your MAGI low. Traditional IRA and 401k distributions count dollar for dollar against the cliff. The goal is to cover living expenses from Roth and basis first. Pull from traditional accounts, only up to the amount that keeps you safely under the line. This is sequencing, not magic, but it has to happen before year-end, not after. HSA contributions also cut your ACA MAGI directly. For 2026, that limit is $4,400 for self-only coverage. Fund an HSA while enrolled in a qualifying high-deductible plan, and you reduce your MAGI at the same time you build a dedicated healthcare reserve. 2 moves for the price of 1. Step 3 is the cash bridge reserve. If your income naturally sits above the cliff because of required minimum distributions or pension payments, the unsubsidized rate is your reality. Accept that and plan for it explicitly. Back calculate how much you need in a dedicated liquid account to cover premiums and out-of-pocket costs across all 10 bridge years. Set aside roughly $150,000 in today's money earmarked specifically for pre-Medicare healthcare. That number belongs in your retirement plan as a hardline item, not a footnote. If you are 42 today and targeting retirement at 57, you have 15 years to build that reserve alongside your core FIRE number. 15 years of consistent contributions to a dedicated bridge fund, invested conservatively, gets you there without touching the main portfolio. Think about what this actually costs in a different unit, not dollars. Years. $150,000 is roughly 3 to 4 years of work at average earnings for the people watching this channel. If you do not build the reserve, you have 2 choices. Delay retirement by 3 to 4 years and stay on employer coverage. Retire early and drain the investment portfolio instead of letting it compound. Either way, the calendar tax gets paid. The only question is whether you plan for it on your terms or get surprised by it on someone else's timeline. That is a reframe. The retirement number you are targeting is not wrong. It is incomplete. The FIRE number tells you when your portfolio can sustain withdrawals. The calendar tax tells you how much additional cash you need to carry yourself through the decade before Medicare starts. Those are 2 separate calculations. Most retirement planners only run one of them. The guys who retire at 57 and feel genuinely free from day one are not the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who ran both calculations before they ever handed in their notice. Drop your planned retirement age in the comments. And if you have already priced out your bridge insurance, tell me what the quote actually said. The gap between what people expect and what lands in their inbox is usually where the real conversation starts. I read everyone. If you're in that 35 to 50 range building toward an early exit, and this kind of breakdown is useful, hit subscribe. The Paycheck Lab puts one of these out every day. The calendar tax is real. The cliff trigger is a number you can manage. Build the bridge before you need to cross it. I'm Caspian, and I'll see you in the next one.